Welcome to the OVW Podcast, the unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling. I'm Brian Hines, and I believe they put a man on the moon.
My name is Jackman Oaks. Today we are getting into all the action from Ohio Valley Wrestling Rise, number 1275. That is the new name of the weekly Ohio Valley Wrestling television show. That, of course, broadcast originally live from historic Davis Arena on January 18th, 2024.
And we will also talk about this week's OVW headlines, and we may have a huge announcement.
And then we will hear from the Fan Zone. That is the unofficial page for the fans to congregate on Facebook, right, Tiny Brian?
That's correct.
I'm not on the social medias. So I don't.
We need a T-shirt that says that.
Yeah, we do.
I don't know. I don't know the things. We are packing up a lot of equipment in the studio and heading to Davis Arena tomorrow, Brian.
That is correct.
This will be our first time. I guess by the time this episode drops, we will be there.
Yes. Well, we will.
We will be leaving shortly after this drops.
Yes.
We will be going behind the scenes a little bit at OVW. For the first time. That's my understanding.
That is what I hear, yeah. I honestly don't know what everything that Tiny Brian has up his tiny sleeves.
Well, my sleeves aren't tiny. I have huge arms. I'm kind of a fat guy, but yes. We are going to Davis Arena tomorrow. I think it's safe to say that they can expect on Thursday that they will see an interview from perhaps the biggest star in the OVW.
Gracie?
No, not Gracie.
We can't get her.
Nobody can book Gracie.
She doesn't return.
Too big.
She doesn't return my calls.
She
but
has like 14 security
Why are you
guards.
calling Gracie?
For an interview, of course.
It's all official business, Brian. Oh, Jackman.
Unofficially official business.
Yes.
But when we were there on Thursday, I did get hugs.
Yeah,
that was nice.
Weird.
You guys didn't, so.
You're the heart and soul of the podcast,
You are the
Brian.
warm center of this show. You are the heart. So I would expect if she was going to hug any of us.
You make me sound like a freshly baked cookie or some kind of pastry or something.
Yeah.
I'm the warm, fuzzy center of this.
Yes,
she didn't even want to take a picture with me until her dad made her. So.
Yes, Brian Hines, you are the freshly baked chocolate chip cookies of this podcast.
Yay. Who doesn't love cookies?
But yeah, we will be going to OVW. We'll expect some cool content, some content that's a little different than what we've done in the past, because after our visit to the Davis Arena, kind of getting behind the scenes a little bit.
I'm glad you told me to use the restroom before we made this announcement, because I definitely would have peed a little.
I'm just trying to manage everybody's everything.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, I'm beside myself. We're gonna get to see the things tomorrow. And that's not something that most regular folks get to do.
As a wrestling fan, it is kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
We will be doing some sort of like quote unquote official business there. We will be quote unquote press to a certain degree, which is also kind of a weird thing to call ourselves. But as a wrestling fan, getting to go backstage at a wrestling show, even though the show won't be going on, that is not something that I ever expected to be able to do.
No.
So
not even close.
Pay attention to this feed. We got a lot of cool stuff lined up for you guys.
Absolutely.
This week at OVW, this week in and around OVW News Update, right? This is what we're doing here at the top of the show. This is our new segment here at the top of the show.
This is our new segment.
Tons of new Titantrons for the wrestlers. Mostly the same music. I think that the Beaches and Cream intro was...
Yeah, that was new music,
too. New music,
because it took a little bit of that opening sax, that do-do-do-do-do, and then it just cut...
But the new Titantrons for everybody look really, really good.
Yeah, and the intro package for the show was markedly better, much improved. You got to see a lot of action, a lot of different faces, not just people in the ring, but also people that you see when you go to the shows. Like Gracie was in there. Who else was in there? I know that there were 2 or 3 other people that we see all the time, and they just kind of escape me right now that I'm in the middle of talking about it.
Yeah, that was really cool to kind of see OVW kind of giving back to the fans a little bit. That's what I kind of liked about the new intro package, is not only did the wrestlers look great in it and the action shots look great in it, but OVW acknowledging that, hey, we've got these great fan base, we've got these great fans come see us every week. Really cool to see them on the bumper there, the intro there, and getting broadcast all over the world.
Yeah. I think even the Colonel was on there too, wasn't he?
Well, if you had a colonel who showed up at your show every week, wouldn't you put him in the opening package?
Well, duh. He's the one that brings the chicken.
OVW talent evaluator Mick Foley will be at OVW Rise this Thursday. He took last week off from being there in person. He was there during a video package. We'll jump into that later.
I noticed.
But he will be in person this Thursday. And then we kind of have the first of maybe seeing that OVW Rise is a very, very, very particular product, and then the OVW pre-show is kind of existing in its own universe. When we talked to Maria, she mentioned that a second OVW television show may be coming down the pipeline.
Right.
Do you think that there's any way that maybe some of these... We know that they like to use the pre-show as a testing ground for what can actually get over in front of the audience.
Sure, the dark matches.
Do you think that some of these pre-show matches are the beginning of the second TV show for OVW?
I mean, I think it's a very good possibility because when we first started going, it's like the dark matches were just kind of there to warm up the crowd. And, I mean, that's commonly what they're used for. But
even with the big guys.
It seems like the quality's gone up significantly, and it's not just, oh, hey, well, this random person wants to give it a shot. Let's see how they do before we put the cameras on them. Now it's more like, okay, you're going to have a match with Donavan Cecil, or you're going to have a match with the veteran, Jack Vaughn. And I think that kind of lends more credibility to the matches that you don't see during the 2-hour segments that are on Fight TV or wherever else it is now. But on Facebook and YouTube, you can see all these things, and you should check them out because they're really good, and you get to see things that people that are watching at home don't always get to see because they show up and they start a half hour early, I guess is what I'm saying.
The YouTube page recently too, not only with the live stream, they're getting about 20,000 viewers live just on YouTube. I don't know what the Facebook numbers are like, but I would say that they're probably massive as well.
Last week, when I watched on YouTube Live and was in the chat room a little bit, I think they made it up to 1,000 during the show.
Really?
Which the people in the chat who apparently are there regularly, just like the fans at Davis Arena are, were excited to hit 1,000 during the showtime, but that was on Thursday, and we're going through the replay now. They are up to 25,000 views over 3 days.
I usually watch the live broadcast the day after, and I've noticed the past couple of weeks that the day after, they must be adding on tons of viewers after the show is over with then.
Oh, really?
Because I've noticed on the Friday, Saturday mornings after, it's up to the several thousands.
Wow.
Several thousands.
That's
over
great.
10,000. So I just kind of assumed they had been pulling in, tens of thousands of people on the original live broadcast, but it seems like they're just able to tack on a bunch afterwards, which is still awesome. That means 20,000 people, 25,000 people are watching this just on one venue alone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's good.
In just the first 24 hours. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I enjoy because when I'm rewatching this to take notes,
that would have been a better way to say what I was trying to say. Within the first 24 hours, they're getting.
I like to watch the replay of the chat as I'm watching this to get our notes, and I noticed this week I saw several people like, "This is on every week."
Yeah.
So I think word is starting to get out that this is a thing, and it's going to continue to be a thing. So could be a fun ride.
Yeah, that's great, and they're just as loyal as the people who show up at Davis Arena on a regular basis. These people know each other and look forward to speaking with one another through chat while they're watching OVW every week, and that's just a testament to their community, the community that they're building.
Mm-hmm. I want to say before this short break, thank you, Rare Character Bourbon, for a great drink here at the beginning of the podcast. We'll be back with all of the action from the pre-show and the regular show right after this.
Hey folks, Tiny Brian here with you once again, and what else can I tell you about Bluegrass Homefront? It is, if you're a Kentuckian, whether you live in the Commonwealth, or you wish you did, or you used to live here and now you live somewhere else, There's really there's no better thing unless you want like timely news, unless you want things that have happened, recently and about newsmakers. We're not good for that because we haven't been on for a while. But if you're looking for sort of non-time specific stories about Kentucky and about musicians here in Kentucky and artists and
don't forget illicit cheese.
Illicit cheese making. That is my favorite.
I have serious interest in this.
No, illicit cheese making is totally the thing. You got to check it out, folks. Bluegrass Homefront, wherever you get your podcast, wherever at bluegrasshomefront.com, and new episodes with video, I guess, because we have video now, coming in March. So
oh wow,
we are excited. And but for now, let's go back to the OVW podcast, already in progress.
Welcome back to the OVW podcast. We're going to talk about the pre-show here, right, Brian? That's where we're at here. We had 3 matches in the pre-show as usual.
Yes, yeah, there were 3 in the pre-show.
Pre-show goes about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So
the first one was Bad Country Andrew Williams versus Carson Drake.
Carson Drake took the victory there.
He did. I was surprised to note that Andrew Williams is from Maysville, Kentucky, which is right across the river from where I'm from. So I'm surprised that I haven't run into him already. Who knows? Maybe I already have, and I just,
forgot about him quickly.
Yeah.
Second match of the night, the Gem in the Crown Gema, my new favorite wrestler on the entire roster, versus La Princessa Tiffany Nieves, flanked by, of course, the Bad Girls Club. Tiffany Nieves takes home the victory by submission. I said last week on this podcast I want to see Gema in a singles match. I want everything to be taken away. I don't want these big multi-person matches. I want to see what she can do, how she can stand on her own. I was more than impressed.
Yes.
More than impressed. For me, this might be separate for you, Brian, might be different for you, but for me, if you were going to watch one match from the pre-show this week, make it Gema versus La Princessa Tiffany Nieves.
I would agree. There were 3. The last one being Ragnar the Ruthless versus the veteran Jack Vaughn. It was also a good match, and Ragnar put in a good showing, but ultimately it's hard to get one over on the veteran, and he takes the win. But Gema versus Tiffany Nieves was the star of the Dark Show.
This Ragnar the Ruthless has kind of become a little bit of the star of the Dark Show, though.
Yeah, he's been out there quite a bit.
He's got
early in the program.
Quite a bit, and people seem to really, really like him.
Yeah.
Kind of. This is what Ragnar, where he's at right now. It's not a bad place to be.
Kind of an unfrozen caveman wrestler.
Well, and the best thing about the Dark Show is it's the most hardcore fans. It's the people that want to be there the most. So if you can get over with them, then you're well on your way to being in a very, very good position in OVW. Because they will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah, there have been times where the crowd has turned on some people, but that doesn't seem to be the case with Ragnar. And I'm sure he's pretty happy these days because his Detroit Lions won over the weekend, and I know how he feels about that. And he's from Finland, and
they got the American football in Finland.
No, but he is a fan of the Detroit Lions. I know that much.
I figured he'd be a Vikings guy.
You would think, but here we are. Maybe he is also, but I doubt it.
I don't think anybody's been a Vikings guy since like 1988.
I still know a couple people, actually.
Behinds, tell me about match 1 here, please.
So match 1 was the Vision Orion versus Jota Peso. And it was good to see Jota back in action this week. He looked great. He put on a great match. He also celebrated a birthday this week, so happy birthday, Manny Domingo, from the OVW podcast.
Yes, happy birthday.
Unofficial happy birthday, by the way.
No, it's an official happy birthday from an unofficial podcast.
Ah, all right. Well, a merry birthday to you too.
Jota Peso, surprisingly to me, I actually went back and had to rewatch this one on YouTube mostly because I was waiting in line for pizza. I was very, very hungry. I kind of was surprised that Orion lost to Jota Peso.
I did too because, there were a couple times where he really just let him have it. Like he came around with his elbow and just knocked him clean into next week. And I thought, oh, God, that's probably not good after being injured for a while. And, Orion looked ruthless.
Yeah.
And hungry, and as he should, because he's getting the job done up there training with Dark Art Studios. So good for him.
Well, and it's just kind of, we saw he is an amazing wrestler, and he looks great. Like he's the whole package. He really is. Orion is. But we saw him lost to Tony Gunn last week. That's not a bad thing, losing to Tony Gunn. I just was surprised you see him lose the opening match 2 weeks in a row on the main show. And Jota Peso is the type of guy who doesn't exactly need to win all the time for the crowd to still support him.
No.
So I just thought, like, storytelling-wise, it was a little weird for Orion to take the loss here. Because I'm supposed to believe this guy is very, very, very formidable.
Yeah. But the fact that they've led the show with him 2 weeks in a row, I feel
there's
like,
no better hand.
Yeah. To start the show, that's great. I mean,
Y'all mind if I ask a question?
Sure.
So
we can't stop you. Duh.
I mean, I do have a microphone,
right.
So I'm just going to talk over. But Manny Domingo started this whole Jota Peso thing just to get underneath Jay De Niro's skin when he was feuding when Star and Tony were feuding.
Right.
This is the first time, I think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, when I've seen Jota Pesos, that identity for Manny Domingo, brought out in a completely disconnected from Jay De Niro or any of that story.
And his Titantron says Jota Pesos.
Yes.
So this is something, I kind of took away from that. And it's probably easier more than it ever has been for OVW to get new custom Titantrons right now. I think there was a time where wherever they had was what they were stuck with. Mm-hmm. But it does show a certain amount of trust in how long that character is going to be around. Same thing for Beaches and Cream getting a new theme song.
Team? Yeah, the tag team.
Yeah.
Titantron.
That would be these guys. We're going to be seeing that team or this character, Jota Pesos, for a long time coming. Would be what I thought.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
It kind of seems to me, at least so far, that maybe it's like the four faces of Foley, except for it's the two faces of Pesos. Yeah, the two-sided Pesos.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, look at that.
After Jota Pesos takes on the victory over Orion, we see a backstage segment with Jack Vaughn, a short little promo from the veteran where he reminds everyone that he is Mick Foley's new favorite wrestler.
Oh yeah, we heard about that several times. I noticed something this week when I was watching his dark match. So his Titantron video, it's like a silhouette of him without the glasses, and if you take out the glasses, he kind of looks like Larry Bird. The silhouette kind of looks like Larry Bird.
He's kind of lanky like Larry Bird.
Yeah, that's true.
He
talks smack like Larry Bird, too.
Wears those short shorts like Larry Bird.
The shortest.
Story. We were exiting Davis Arena the other week, and as you guys know, and anybody who's regularly in attendance at Davis Arena knows, when Jack Vaughn sets up his gimmick after the show, it's right by the front door.
Which is a veteran move, because that's what all the Girl Scouts do when they're trying to sell you their delicious cookies.
And he was standing there with his arms crossed.
It might be hard to see Jack Vaughn's gimmick table for all the line of 15-year-old boys taking pictures of Layla Gray in front of it, but go on.
Without
buying a single thing.
Yeah, without buying a single thing. Again.
Come on,
parents,
guys.
Parents, give your kids $10 for the wrestling gimmick table. Okay?
Yeah, if you're going to fawn over these chicks, throw down some cash, will you?
And also, if you're one of the 15-year-old boys, she's not interested.
She's got a better boyfriend than you.
She is beyond not interested and never will be.
Oh God.
So at any rate, Jack Vaughn, as this story started out on, he was standing there by the door, by his gimmick table, arms crossed, and was just so still that for just a moment I thought, where did they get a life-size standee of Jack Vaughn?
It's that muscle control, baby.
I'm telling you. So I don't know. He is just larger than life and almost unbelievable to see in person.
Yeah.
Very, very. Yeah, a nice guy, too. Great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. About number 2 here in the main show, we have the Fallen with the Dark Reverend versus TW3 and Donavan Cecil. So that would have been the team of the Nephilim and ZDP versus the team of Donavan Cecil and TW3, the strongest man in Kentucky in the 80s, baby.
That was the team that I did not know I needed.
Mm-hmm.
That was the match of the night.
That was probably the match of the night. I'm trying to come up with something that I could, say would rival it, but
it was not my match of the night, just for the record.
Okay, it was
mine was a different one.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
No.
And that end move where TW climbs up in Donovan's arms, Donovan stands up and throws him down on the opponent was just insane.
If you're only familiar with these guys through our description of it, or you haven't watched OVW, you don't know who Donovan Cecil TW3 is. This team had very much a Ricochet, Braun Strowman type quality to it.
Amen to that.
Yeah, that would be for if you didn't actually get to see the match. Kind of think that kind of huge muscle guy paired with a high flyer, very acrobatic guy, and then not only is the comparison between the two very interesting, but the chemistry is off the charts.
Yeah, they were 2 great wrestlers that wrestled great together, and they looked great doing it. I mean, T-Dub's got the new ring gear. That was Pac-Man this week, if I remember right. Mm-hmm. And if you
got any more sweet ring gear, T-Dub, save it for the pay-per-view. You don't have to give it all away for free.
Yeah, but if you want to, it's cool. I mean, there's tons of other games that you could reference, like Zelda, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out,
Galaga.
Yeah. I want some Space Invaders.
There you go. Pitfall.
Now we're just naming 80s video games.
And I can do that all night, kids. All night. I also thought that the Fallen, I mean, they were impressive as always, but when the Reverend and the Nephilim threw ZDP cheerleader style, I swear he looked like he was 15 feet above the ring.
I covered my mouth.
Badass. Yeah.
I said, there's no way this ends well for that young man.
I had my doubts when he was on his way up. I thought,
that kid's pretty fearless, man. He gets thrown around. I mean, he's more often than not the smallest guy in the ring by far.
Yeah, easily.
And is willing to take advantage of his size.
As small as he is in stature, he is very formidable and very intimidating.
He's a tough
I'm not
guy.
really into horror at all, but of all the things that I think could possibly come true from classic horror trope, it would be zombies. Zombies really freak me out. So for him to effectively, show up every week, that's wow, that's, unsettlingly creepy. And I appreciate that. So thank you very much, ZDP and Fallen.
The team of TW3 and Donavan Cecil take the victory here.
As they should have.
Afterwards, we see behind the scenes segment, a camera segment, solo promo, much like Jack Vaughn had done earlier in the night. Hollyhood Haley J is back after a brief hiatus from OVW, and she is putting the bad girls on notice.
She sure was.
Segment here.
Yeah.
We saw a couple weeks ago a segment between Mick Foley and one of our next competitors, Tony Evans.
Yes.
Brian Hines, what did Tony Evans? What was he asked to do by Mick Foley?
Prove him wrong.
And how did he say he was going to prove Mick Foley wrong?
He said that he was going to go find the biggest, meanest guy in the locker room. And when we had this discussion last week, we both kind of said who we thought that was at the same time, and we had differing opinions.
Did either one of us say that it was the uncut Jim Ty Vance?
No. Not even close.
Tony Evans ends up taking the victory here over the uncut Jim Ty Vance. He failed to deliver on his promise of finding
it was an easy victory.
The biggest, toughest, meanest guy in the locker room.
In the nightclub.
He might be the toughest, biggest, meanest man in the VIP section of your local nightclub, Ty Vance.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the broom. Got him. No, so we were promised something. We are slowly inching toward the change of Tony Evans, but we're not quite there yet. How many weeks do you think it takes Tony Evans to actually get a big, tough son of a bitch out there to wrestle him?
That's like asking how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop. And according to the Owl, it's 3, but I think it's going to be more than 3.
I actually think it will be 3.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know why. That's just kind of my guess.
I don't know. 3's the magic number.
This whole thing came out of a segment where Mick Foley gave grades to the OVW stars. He gave Jack Vaughn a B. He gave Cal Hero an A-, if I remember correctly. And he gave Tony Evans an F. And he said, if you don't want an F, prove me wrong. What grade did Mick Foley give Tony Evans this week after he beat Uncut Gym Ty Vance?
As my dad used to say, Tony Evans got a flag.
Got
Big
another
F.
Got another F. So we will see.
Forget about it.
We will see this upcoming week when Mick Foley is in person if Tony Evans can manage to prove Mick Foley wrong.
We shall see. But this has come up quite a bit.
Saw a couple of promo segments here going into and out of the commercial breaks. We saw the Bad Girls Club continuing with their usual bullying of Ellie, her kind of being unaware that she's the odd woman out in that group.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering where they're going with this.
I don't know. I like it. I think I heard you guys both say at first off mic before we started recording that you were a little wishy-washy on it. I actually kind of like Ellie with like doing her version of what she thinks a mean girl is. I think it's kind of sweet, actually. I think that the payoff for this is going to be very, very cathartic, and I actually really enjoyed it so far. We can dig more into that whenever we get to it later in the matches. Carson Drake was the subject of our next behind-the-scenes segment.
And he slipped Crystal a couple of hundos.
That she promptly put in her bra pocket.
Brocket.
The brocket. The best place, as I've been told, to keep money if you're...
or your hands are cold.
I haven't worn a bra in a long time, so I'm not sure.
One thing, speaking of Carson Drake, one thing that I noticed when he wrestled, they said he was previously in OVW.
They said that on the broadcast?
Mm-hmm. Sure did. I was unaware of that.
I don't remember him. Don't remember him if he was. Maybe I very well might not have been watching at the time. So.
Yeah, that could very well be. We'll have to see whether we can get a word with him, but I suspect that we don't have enough money to get into that kind of headspace.
Bout 4 was between the Destroyers and the Outrunners.
That's the second week in a row that the Outrunners come away with a big win. I feel like they're getting ready to get a big push. And they were on top of the world at the end of it, spinning like they do. And
didn't they get the ref to spin? Did I see that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. As you said last week's episode, you had never seen the ref spin. It was there just for you, Tiny Brian, seeing the ref spin.
Now I feel better.
As you should.
The pairing of the Outrunners and the Destroyers is a really fun one because the Outrunners are so ridiculous.
Yeah.
And the Destroyers are so business.
Yeah. Their styles are two totally different. I mean, the Destroyers are in there and they're out for blood. And, basically the Outrunners are all Miso's got it the whole time. Just spinning around, having a blast. But they're getting the job done. And that's what matters. They end up with a win at the end of the day. Proud of you, son.
Yeah, the Outrunners end up with a win at the end of the day, as you said. Bout 5 here is between the future Will Austin and Ryan Von Rocket. Ryan Von Rocket takes away the victory. We'll say that here at the beginning of this conversation. What's going on with Will Austin?
Well, what do you mean exactly?
I feel like he's really touch and go and hot and cold. I think he's a very, very capable wrestler.
Agreed.
I just think from week to week,
you don't know which one you're going to get?
Yeah, and that's from the perspective of the television show, not the perspective, not Will's in-ring action. I just don't sometimes, I thought that he was going to be babyface all the way after the Orion program.
Right.
And then that didn't really happen. And it seems like sometimes he's the babyface, sometimes he's the heel. I think he was supposed to be the heel here, but people in Davis Arena really don't like Ryan Von Rocket.
It kind of seems like that sometimes.
Crystal comes out with her $100 bills. She's, of course, Ryan Von Rocket's valet, one of the Rockettes. She comes out with her $100 bills in her bra pocket from Carson Drake earlier, which I thought was a really great little note there that he gave it to her in the backstage segment, and she's still wearing it as she makes her way to the ring.
And then he came out and gave her more.
This catches the attention of Ryan Von Rocket.
Who is not happy.
Not happy. Get a big rock and roll neck breaker on Will Austin. And...
the old shake, rattle, and roll.
Yep. The Ryan Von Rocket, kind of a different side of him. Kind of like an angry and very angry, very intense side of Ryan Von Rocket. It's kind of a goofy character.
Yeah, generally, yeah, but he did seem a little jealous of the attention that she was getting out there, and
that she was giving Carson Drake.
Yeah,
as well.
that kind of reminded me of somebody else who used to get really jealous back in the day, Randy Savage. But
I don't hate that.
Yeah,
I really don't.
It's not a bad look. Just except for
I wouldn't have gone there with it. But
with Randy Savage, it was baby oil, and Ryan Von Rocket, it is glitter gel.
Yeah. Lots and lots of
the
glitter.
Old divorce dust, as they put it.
That ring does not look the same after a Ryan Von Rocket match.
No, it definitely doesn't. It looks like a stripper exploded.
Yeah, it's. I feel bad for everybody else that has to wrestle in it for the rest of the night.
I feel like someone at a pay-per-view should wrestle him with the stipulation that if he loses, he has to stop putting that glitter on.
Carson Drake might be the man.
If he wins, then the other person has to glitter up.
Main event, hour 1. 3-way match. Trios match, as I like to call them.
Yeah. No. It was Dream Girl Ellie versus Hollyhood Haley J, right?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So that's hour 2's main event.
2's main event.
Yeah.
I'm sitting and looking right at it.
Yeah, it was a
Sorry.
It was scheduled to be a singles match, but when the bad girls run in packs of 3.
That's that. Good job, Brian. That's what I meant.
That's what he meant. See?
It's never a singles match when the Bad Girls Club are there.
I got you, fam.
Thanks, bro.
All right.
Hollyhood Haley J, returning Hollyhood Haley J versus Dream Girl Ellie. There was a moment here, and I haven't been drinking as much as I used to or usually do or whatever, and that's my thing. That's kind of not. It's important only when I say this. I'm very used to crying to wrestling. Very used to crying to things that like most adults wouldn't cry to. And I was not intoxicated this past week at Davis Arena when we were lucky enough to go up there. And there was a moment where I guess Haley jumps from the third post there, third rope,
the high rent district,
onto the ground, and does the big tackle of the Bad Girls Club there. And she stands back up and throws her arms up in the air. And the way that she was received in that moment by Davis Arena, I cried a little bit. I don't know why. It was just like they so clearly were waiting for her to come back. And then she was amazing. She's been amazing every week. She's gotten better and better every time we see her. She's always been really, really easy to watch and very, very charismatic. But now,
sure, she's the daughter of Amazing Maria.
Yes,
but runs in the family, man.
But she's getting really, really good at this wrestling thing. And then just like that reaction that she got, it wasn't even the jump that got the reaction. It was her celebrating that got the reaction, and the crowd being able to celebrate with her.
Yeah,
that touched me. And I would love to have chalked it up to that I had been drinking whiskey, but that wasn't what it was. It was just actually like a really cool, beautiful moment to see. I got very overwhelmed by it.
Hey man, there's no shame in that. It's, it happens to everybody. It happens to me too sometimes. And, that's just part of the human experience. It was good to see her back in action. She didn't quite to give the beat down that the Mean Girls have, the Bad Girls Club, have coming to them. Mm-hmm. But that it's on the way. And after she took everybody out with a dive from the top rope, then she was triple teamed, and things looked really bad for a while. Mm-hmm. She was surrounded, and all the bad girls had chairs, and then Freya came to save the day.
Yeah, Hollyhood Haley J ends up picking up the victory by disqualification after the Bad Girls Club.
Right. That was my horrible Andy Kaufman impression, by the way. Thank you very much.
Freya comes and saves Hollyhood Haley J, kind of clears house with a big folding chair, as wrestlers are wanting to do.
Yeah.
Do you think that we're getting a tag team of Freya and Hollyhood?
I mean, it's possible. And if anything, I could see them, I could see the bad girls going against Hollyhood, Freya, and Island Girl TT. I think that would be your anti-bad girl faction.
I think that...
if it were up to me, and it is not, clearly, so.
TT and Freya obviously have the history.
Sure.
I was going to ask. You beat me to it. I was going to ask who you thought the third person would be. I'm going to say...
Obviously, Hulk Hogan.
I'm going to say Gema.
Ooh, that'd be good, too.
I want to see Gema more on the main roster. Make that happen. She's got a history with the bad girls. Hollyhood has history with the bad girls.
Yeah, they got her right out of the Nightmare Rumble.
Yeah, see?
Just like that.
That's all I'm saying. It's right there. It's right there. And Gema, I'm serious, guys. Go watch that match in the pre-show. She's going to be your guys' favorite wrestler in a short amount of time. She's awesome. She's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
I'll say 2 words. Chain skirt.
She wear a chain skirt?
Yeah, Gema wears a big chain skirt when she comes in.
Yeah, she did better with the chains than Mr. Pectacular and EC3 did combined.
Tell me how you feel. Oh, come on. Keep talking dirty to me, Brian. I love it. I love it when you get pitchy, Brian. Top of hour 2 here. Top of hour 2.
Things always get weird at the end of hour 1 here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Brian, when we were watching this promo, Tiny Brian, when we were watching this promo live,
Right.
do you remember what you turned to me and said?
I believe I turned and said this something to the effect of, this sounds like a mission statement.
Yes, that is effectively what you said. Yeah, pretty much word for word. Brian, would you agree with that sentiment here at the top, this promo at the top of the hour? Between, I guess, for a little bit of framing, Cash, Cal Hero, and Tony Gunn.
Shotgun Tony Gunn. Yeah, that seems like a pretty safe assessment.
It was something akin to a fireside chat. It was, these are your guys. These are who you need to be paying attention to. These guys care about you. These guys are going to get you through the hard times.
They love you. They're your friends. Mm-hmm. And they will never let anything bad happen to you ever.
And if you were going to book this kind of segment, it is those 3 guys.
You're right. But as big, for the sake of argument, as big as that segment was with Cash, Cal Hero, and Shotgun Tony Gunn, who would be the antithesis of that? I mean, in this case, Beaches and Cream came out, but I don't feel like it's kind of even as far as that goes. And I don't feel like it would be the OVERmen because they're kind of, I mean, outside of Luke Kurtis, they're kind of like a mess this week.
Well, and they kind of exist on EC3's Thursday Night Raw. They exist in the Oververse. They kind of exist in their own little void away from the rest of OVW television.
Except for Certified, who's money.
I think that it speaks a lot to how well revered these 3 guys are, to that there is not an obvious heel equal to them. Yeah. I think that you could name 100 names before you found one that is even a good argument for being hated as much as these 3 guys are loved.
And even the people they face this week, Beaches and Cream and Real One, are just sort of like the party time heels. They're not like evil. They're just like, hey, we just throw out for ourselves, and we're gonna laugh at you and beat you out.
And we're pissed, and we're gonna,
Well, and yeah, most of the Real One heat, which has been really great, like still, and another great addition to that this week. Most of the Real One heat is that he talks with a northern accent and Tony Gunn talks with a southern one. That's like, basically where the heat is at. It's been perfect, and I really am not complaining about it when I simplify it to those examples. But that's basically what it is. This guy's from WWE, and he talks real fast, and you don't like him because he talks fast, right?
Yeah, but he rolled into town looking like the Wicked Witch of the trailer park, for crying out loud, with them giant striped socks and everything all mismatched, and it's just like, what? Why?
I just can't quite. I don't see it. Real One, Enzo, whatever his name is. I'm like, dude, are you okay? Did you just dress with whatever was left over in the back?
It's the irregular bin
I don't
at
even,
the clearance mall.
Yeah, I don't even think you can consider what Enzo wears like gear.
No.
You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. So when Peaches and Cream make their appearance to interrupt our trio of heroes, Luscious starts off with Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. And I've noticed a lot of people I've heard lately saying that they don't remember that being the original line from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I'm glad that somebody said Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, because now they're trying to say that it's Magic Mirror on the Wall, and I don't ever remember that being the case.
Is this one of these Mandela effects?
Exactly.
One of these things I hear so much about.
One of these things I hear so much about.
About 7 here. Two girls that have kind of recently been making their name on the OVW roster. Recognize them from some other places. Big Al, Alice Crowley, and Angelica Risk. This is the first Big Al, Alice Crowley match that we've seen, solo match that we've seen, at least since the Rumble that she participated in, right?
Yeah. It's been a little bit since she's had a solo match.
This is the second one in as many weeks that we've seen from Angelica Risk.
Yes. Who looked very impressive this week, by the way.
Yes. This is kind of the opposite of the match that I wanted between Freya and Angelica. I wanted Freya to come out and absolutely smash Angelica, 30 seconds, 1, 2, 3, whatever. I really liked the dynamic of this match being that she's fighting from underneath, that she doesn't give up. I didn't really get that dynamic against Freya, but on this one I thought it was a little more clear.
Alice should have had that match won. If she would have gone for the pin instead of like kind of playing to the crowd, she would have come away with a win. But that was a mistake on her part, and Angelica Risk with an impressive match. That's not her singles debut, is it? Off the top of my head, I can't remember.
Angelica Risk?
Yeah.
She fought Freya last week.
That's right, yeah.
I did feel being there live this week that I thought there was a kind of a palpable support for Angelica Risk this week around.
Yeah.
From the audience.
Yeah.
Which is that's a really the worst thing you can do is not get anybody to react. And sometimes, unfortunately, when you're a new wrestler or the OVW faithful don't recognize your face immediately, it can be kind of hard to get a reaction in that place.
That's true. There's a lot going on there.
There is, and more now than ever.
Yeah, definitely.
Next sketch of the evening was the OVERmen meeting with EC3 in a control room, like a flight control room.
Like traffic controller?
Yeah, something like that, like Houston, where they may or may not have a problem.
We have a problem, and it's audio.
Yeah, we have a problem.
Although it was better this week than it had been in the past, but I swear to God, for about a month, it sounded like EC3 was just, trying to cut a promo with a mouthful of marbles or something. You just couldn't hear what he was saying at all.
It's some of this. I hate to sit and bust on OVW because it is getting better and better every single week. It's getting leaps and bounds better than
anything critical that we say with love because we care.
But we can't not say something about these audio issues that continue to persist.
Yeah.
When everything else on the show looks looks great, and most of it sounds fantastic. These backstage audio issues continue to plague the show.
Yeah, that's the weak point, unfortunately. But progress is being made. Not looking for perfection, just step in the right direction, and they're getting there. You guys are getting there.
Well, and we cannot give them praise without being critical, and you cannot be critical without giving praise. That is I'm a big believer in that.
Too sweet to be sour, too nice to be mean.
Too sweet. Final BOUT 8 of the night, the Dark Reverend this time being joined by the Nephilim and ZDP.
Yes.
Second time we've seen the Fallen tonight, this time a singles match with the Dark Reverend.
Always a pleasure to see the Reverend.
Versus everybody on OVW's new favorite shiny toy, the Iron Demon's Shane Mercer.
Yeah.
And and I do not mean that as a negative at all. Shane Mercer is a specimen. He is impressive.
Oh, yeah.
He is built like a brick shit house. He's strong as hell. He's very, very athletic.
And the numbers game is usually to the Fallen's advantage, but not tonight, not this time. No,
didn't matter.
He took care of all of them.
Without saying too much here, pay attention to the feed. Dark Reverend loses. This match goes out on his back, counts the lights at Davis Arena. Moving on to bout 9 here. 10 bouts tonight. Usually we're averaging about 8 on 8 or about 11, I guess.
TV says 8 is enough, but this past week they went 10.
Luke Kurtis and Star Rider. Was this more of a match between Luke Kurtis and Star Rider, or was this more of an opportunity to advance the storyline of the OVERmen?
Clearly, it was an advancement of the story because, I mean, Star Rider looked great. New ring gear. You're rocking it, buddy. You hustled out there. You did everything that you needed to do. It just wasn't part of the story. And, I mean, he ultimately ended up with the win. But, I mean, that is due to a heavy-handed help of Joe Mack.
Yeah, Joe Mack, he is trying to help Luke Kurtis. He's trying to support Luke Kurtis, but he hits the rope, and Luke Kurtis trips, right, which allows Star Rider to get the victory.
Yeah.
Joe Mack, as we know, it's wrestling, and even a mistake is always seen as a terrible betrayal.
Yeah.
And that's what we had here.
If it was a mistake.
I think that we are supposed to believe it was a mistake, but I do think that there is growing animosity between those two guys, rightfully so.
I kind of feel like this is Luke Kurtis's breakout moment.
I always thought that Joe Mack was going to be the babyface out of these guys. I don't know why I thought that. I kind of just did. It looks like it's going to end up being Luke Kurtis.
I mean, that's not necessarily what I'm saying at all. I'm not saying necessarily that he's going to be a face. I think that the OVERmen are going to fold. They're going to...
you think that there's no more...
I think before too long, possibly at the Tough Love pay-per-view, because, I mean, Pectacular went and did his own thing. Mm-hmm. Shera is a face, tag team champion, and of the remaining... it's going to be Luke Kurtis versus EC3, and I can see that leading to a pretty bitter feud, and that leaves you with Big Joe Mack and the Human Thumb, Adam Revolver,
and Shannon the Dude, with EC3, obviously. So you go from, you make a good point there. In August, the faction, as they were formerly called. Huge group, running roughshod over everywhere. Then they become the OVERmen.
Right.
Now they're about to lose a piece of the OVERmen. Mm-hmm. You're right. I think actually you're right. And then if you go back to our predictions podcast, I think both of us said that we expected EC3 to be out of the promotion by March.
Yeah.
That kind of would line up. That match between...
Yeah, this would track.
That match between EC3 and Luke Kurtis will be on Thursday the 15th on TV on OVW Rise.
Which is after the pay-per-view.
So, yeah, I think, Brian, I'm starting to like what you're saying there. I think you're probably right. I think by the pay-per-view, the OVERmen are dissolved. Luke Kurtis is a face of sorts against EC3. And then who knows what happens. I think that it probably is EC3 going out of the promotion. Or hopefully it's Matt Cardona winning the NWA Championship and getting Matt Cardona at OVW. That's what I would really like to see.
Who knows?
That would be fun.
That's what I would like to see.
That would be awesome.
Matt Cardona, the name of the former Zack Ryder. For those of you that didn't know that he had changed his name. Now he's kind of remade himself as an indie superstar.
He's also really big into collecting action figures, isn't he?
Yes, great. He is probably the best YouTube wrestling toy content creator.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
I hope he does come because we could talk for hours about wrestling action figures. One thing I do want to note that during this final match between these two teams, we were seated on the corner behind our heroes, Cash Flow, Cal Hero, and Shotgun Tony Gunn.
The two teams of Beaches and Cream and Real One and Cal Hero, Cash Flow, and Tony Gunn.
Yeah. And I managed to snag a picture of Shannon the Dude and Adam Revolver. And I turned and looked at Brian and I said, hey, I got a picture of a thumb and an asshole. And all the people around us thought that was funny. So I'll see whether I can post that to social media.
We'll post that tonight. And you guys can visit our social media page in the morning when this episode drops to see a picture of a thumb and an asshole. Not that one.
No,
a different
not that one.
Thumb and an asshole.
Different
picture.
This is G-rated.
Yeah. Not the one that you guys are thinking of.
No.
I thought that this match here was actually my match of the night.
It was a great match.
Yeah, this was actually my match of the night while we were talking about that from earlier.
I mean, it was a good match, and it would have been nice to have a clear winner. We just didn't get that. I mean, Cash always looks great. Cal looks fierce these days. Shotgun Tony Gunn on top with being the champion. And, I mean, you can't get any better than that.
I thought two things in this match were that made a match of the night for me were just like over the top brilliant. One is the obvious one, and that's not letting Tony Gunn and Real One touch each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was brilliant. It was hot. It was steaming in there. It was a tea kettle. It was whistling.
It was a little
there.
teapot, short and stout.
They were chanting, let them fight.
It was insane in there. I love being, not even when I get carried away by wrestling, I love being in an audience where the audience is carried away by wrestling, and that audience was hot. They want to see Tony Gunn get his hands on Real One so bad. Loved that.
Yeah.
First off. Second off, for me, this match really was the Luscious Lawrence show.
Oh.
Yeah. He obviously took a beating most of the time.
Yeah.
But I really, really, really enjoyed him taking...
He did a great job of telling the story.
Yeah, I thought that he made his opponents look really, really good. And I think that he sold in a way that was a lot more heely than I remember him selling when he was a baby. And this is just kind of, for me, the full... a step toward, if not the fully realized form of what the heel Luscious Lawrence looks like. For me, watching it live, getting to sit right there on the banister, the thing that I enjoyed watching the most during this match was Luscious Lawrence.
Well, I mean, to your credit, or to go with what you said, I mean, Luscious is immensely talented. Mm-hmm. He's great at what he does. So seeing him out there do his thing as a heel, he knocked it out of the park. But as far as the Real One and Tony Gunn, the crowd wanted that bad, and we didn't get to see it. But that is just a testament to how good Enzo is on the mic. I mean, we ripped on him for this and that and the other, but
deservedly so.
Deservedly so. But he is a man that people love to hate, and that is why, because he's so good at talking smack.
Yeah.
So we didn't get what we were looking for yet, but we got what's I'm trying to say?
We might not have gotten what we were looking for, but OVW got us to do exactly what they wanted, which is come back next week.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
I thought it was brilliant. Sometimes it's the simplest things in wrestling that make me the most excited. And sometimes it's so easy to try to make a moment without serving the long-term purpose. This was great. This was really old school and very, very measured. Just not letting Tony Gunn get anywhere near a Real One, as opposed to giving me the instant blow-off of even just as little of a thing
just
as
one punch.
Yeah, just one punch would have ruined this for me. Mm-hmm. Just one test of strength would have ruined this for me. But as they executed it, I thought it was pitch perfect.
Yeah, it was spot on.
And you two are the wrestling fans, so you tell me. This whole match, this whole structure of we're going to throw these disparate groups together in a big combination match, its placement right here in the spot a couple weeks before the pay-per-view, like we're sort of building interest. It felt very well placed, and like it reminded me of how WCW used to kind of do things. In the kind of their middle of their pay-per-view cycle, they do these big matches that are just there to build interest, and that's kind of how it felt to me.
And just like WCW, it didn't have a clear finish either.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I did actually check with voice of OVW Brian Kennison. He was kind enough to confirm that there was, in fact, no decision on this match at all.
Yeah, the officials get in between the participants after they've lost all control of the match. Tony Gunn and Real One get pulled apart after Tony Gunn tries his hardest to fight through the crowd of officials and referees.
Yeah.
The crowd, as Brian pointed out, our producer Tiny Brian pointed out earlier, was chanting, "Let them fight." And man, I said it the first time I ever saw those guys lock eyes. I am ready. I am so ready. And I didn't think I could get any more ready. And then this match happened.
Yeah. So let's do it.
Let's do it. We've got 3 weeks until 2 weeks, basically, effectively, right? Until the pay-per-view.
Yeah. 2 weeks.
2 weeks. On the way out here, Brian, who do you got in the Royal Rumble? We don't talk about the other stuff, but Royal Rumble is my favorite event. Who do you got?
Oh gosh, I haven't even given it any thought. That's this Saturday, isn't it?
It is.
I don't know. We might have to circle back around to this. I don't even know like the big stories.
I'm gonna go.
That's how little time I've had to pay attention to that, and I still try to watch every week. But off the top of my head, do you think it's gonna be Punk? I don't think it's gonna be Punk.
I don't think it's gonna be CM Punk.
I think it's gonna be Cody.
I think
Or could be.
I think that it should. If I was booking it, Gunther number 1.
Solid.
No, I'm sorry. Take that back. Cody number 1. Gunther number 30. Gunther was number 1 last year. Cody knocked him out at 30.
He almost ran with it. Yeah.
Cody comes in at 30. You see Gunther, the most dominant champion in the whole company right now. And I'm going to take that even over Roman Reigns because Gunther defends it more often.
Right.
You see Cody over an hour in. You see Gunther walk out. Instant dread. Instant dread. Cody wins, though. Running it back 2 years in a row. That is my prediction.
Could very well be. What about the women's?
The women's. I don't know. I would like to see like Liv Morgan win it because she'll probably end up coming back that night. If Sasha Banks comes back, then I'm probably going to go Sasha Banks. But I would really like to see Liv Morgan win it after having a kind of a terrible year between injuries and legal trouble. And she's just such a fan favorite. She's a former champion. I don't think anybody would bat an eye at her winning it. That's kind of those are my 2 choices.
I don't see Sasha Banks coming back. She's signed with AEW.
She's not technically yet.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see.
But if she came
I don't know.
back,
I just
think
don't
it's
see
her.
it.
If she came back, I think it's her.
Could very well be. I don't know.
So we're live right now, right?
We are.
Oh, God.
Do we have anyone joined us this?
We have a couple of people.
Oh,
really?
Wow. Who name? Dan, tell us some names.
I don't know. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't say.
Oh, it doesn't say on your.
Since you're not on social media, you don't know.
I do not know.
But that's all right.
Hello, viewers. Y'all want to
Greetings.
close out the actual
Hello,
podcast?
Nurse. The OVW podcast, the 10th annual Carney Award-nominated unofficial podcast of Ohio Valley Wrestling, is produced by Blacklight Moon Productions at Nut House Studios in Lexington, Kentucky. The OVW podcast broadcast team is Jack Minogues and Brian Hines.
What up?
Our studio engineer and editor is Malachi P.S. Woodard. Executive producer is Tiny Brian K. Woodard.
Yo.
Senior producer for The Blimp is Victor Anderson. After watching Wrestlers on Netflix, visit ovwpodcast.com/podcasters to find all of our episodes of our unofficial Wrestlers After Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Rate us 5 stars. Give us a review. It really helps. It really, really helps. You can also follow us at OVW Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and to the historic Davis Arena.
That's right.
Love you guys.
Love you guys. Thanks for listening.